big day, signing day. One signing, Jeremiah Cobb, the four-star running back from Montgomery, who's been committed to Auburn for a long time. Decided to wait and sign with his buddies and pals and teammates in February, which not a huge surprise, but officially on board. Pretty much, Keith, as far as we know, the last of the high school guys of the 2023 class.
Yeah, we think.
Top
130 recruit nationally, number 6 running back in the country, 5'10 and a half, 5'11", 185 pounds, super fast for a running back. Running backs aren't going to be your 4.3 guys. They're
right.
Very quick for a running back. He's coming off 3 consecutive 2,000-yard seasons. So he's not only putting that, statistics aren't everything, obviously, your competition and who you play with, there's so many variables, but he's a proven competitor. He's a proven producer, and he's a proven winner. He's played on multiple solid teams at Montgomery Catholic. He's, Auburn, you're losing Tank Bigsby, but the running back room may actually be better next year. So you've got Jarquez Hunter back. He'll probably be the starter. You've got Damari Alston back, showed a lot of promise as a freshman. You've added Brian Battie from USF, who was, all-conference.
All-American.
All-American at one point. Kick returner as well. And now you've got Jeremiah Cobb in the fold. So 4 really solid. And obviously they have other guys on the team too. We're not leaving, but these are the main 4. They've got guys coming back as well. So the running back room is in good shape with Cadillac Williams. Now we'll see what they do for the 2024 class, but that's a significant addition. Jeremiah Cobb's a guy that can do a little bit of everything out of the backfield and should fit in perfectly. I think, with Battie maybe returning kicks this year, Jeffrey, maybe this guy's your other guy returning kicks. You know what I mean? And so I think there's a lot of potential for him to get on the field early, mainly in a special teams role. And then, as Jarquez Hunter moves on to the NFL, probably, maybe after next year, not probably, but maybe, that his role should increase. But love the pickup, good, solid in-state guy, which is what we need to see more of if Auburn's going to compete at the higher level. In-state guys. And let me point out, Georgia made a move on him late, Jeffrey, in the fall. And initially, Auburn beat out Clemson. Clemson absolutely, positively wanted this guy in the class. So, again, what do we always say? Forget about the ranking. Who did you beat to get the guy? Well, they beat out Clemson, and then you had Georgia coming on, offering later in the year. So, significant win for Hugh Freeze.
You talked about in-state 4-star. Auburn picked up 2 more in-state 4-star commitments today. 2025 4-star in-state defensive lineman Malik Autry from Opelika. Then you had 4-star cornerback Jaden Lewis from Anniston. That's to go with in the 2024 class. And Lewis goes with another 2024 in-state 4-star in Amon Lane.
Yeah, I'm looking. They're up their profiles now, or not looking them up, getting them on my screen. And we'll start with Jaden Lewis. Because he's in the current class, and believe it or not, the 2024 class, Jeffrey, is now the current class. I mean,
right?
I can't believe what year it is. But 2024, number 20 cornerback in the country, Jaden Lewis. He's out of Anniston, Alabama. Number 20 corner, number 15 recruit in the state of Alabama. So anybody in your top 20 in Alabama is probably going to be really good. And number 220 nationally. Now he's listed at 5'10", 165, but he says, Keith, I'm actually 6 foot.
He's closer to 6 foot than he is 5'10".
He says he's 6 foot 175. Now this happens a lot because over a course of a year at this guy's age, 16, 17 years old, that's when we all really grew. So very good play. This is a guy that the old staff identified, when Zach Etheridge worked for Brian Harsin. They offered him then. Then not long after Hugh Freeze got to Auburn, November 28th, within a few weeks, Auburn had offered him again. So that's a good thing. Both staffs like this guy. That's not just one staff reaching for a guy. That's 2 staffs saying this is a guy, solid guy. Now,
and you know what? He told me that meant a lot to him to have 2 different staffs say, we want you. And then the common denominator of both of those 2 staffs was Zach Etheridge. He said he's been recruiting him for 2 to 3 years now. Big factors in Lewis's decision.
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt. And let's point out also, we think Wesley McGriff's coaching the corners, right? So he'd actually be playing for Wesley McGriff. So it stands to reason that Wesley McGriff, who, by the way, is very close with Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze probably isn't signing off on any offer, just unless Wesley McGriff, who's going to be coaching the guy, says, hey, I know Etheridge likes the guy, but I need to like him too. And I do like him. So let's, so I think it's significant that now you have both DB coaches have signed off on this guy. two guys, Zach Etheridge, a young up-and-comer, Wesley McGriff, a guy that's been around the block, was once a secondary coach for the New Orleans Saints, defensive coordinator at Ole Miss. So they're absolutely on the same page. They're absolutely on the same page with Jaden Lewis. And, who did you beat out? You beat out schools like FSU and Tennessee. But Jeffrey, I don't think there was a number 2 here. I think this guy, I talked to him in early January, like January 2nd, January 3rd, and you could tell then that this guy was trending hard toward Auburn. He visited Auburn this past weekend. They knocked it out of the park. I believe you talked to him, and he was all Auburn then, how much he loved the staff, the facilities, the program, the direction. And then a week earlier, Cole Pinkston, who works with us at Auburn Live, interviewed me. He says, hey, at the time, he didn't know much about Hugh Freeze, but he knew one thing. Guy beat Bama a couple times. And so he liked that, he said. So you knew that he was a guy that had a little bit of orange and blue Auburn blood going through his veins. And this is a big pickup. Now, like you said, you've got 2 commitments in the 2024 class. They're both defensive backs. And I know everybody says, oh, my God, look at all the defensive backs. When are we going to start getting some other guys? Well, in the SEC these days, you better have some good DBs or you're not going to win games, right? There's some key positions out there: quarterback, O-line, D-line, edge, cornerback. And now you've got Amon Lane as your other DB commit, and he's probably a nickel or a safety. He's a little shorter, but he's a nickel, safe, very fast. May not be a corner coverage guy, maybe a safety. And now you have Jaden Lewis, a true corner, 6 foot, 175 with good length. And he's coming from a winning program. And by the way, Aniston's got a lot of other players there.
Oh, yeah.
So that's significant too. So you're building some inroads at that school. And Amon Lane and Jaden Lewis are good friends. They're excited. They're going to be playing together at Auburn.
One of the things that stood out to me about Jaden Lewis when I talked to him about his commitment, he committed to Hugh Freeze on Saturday at Junior Day. Hugh Freeze was crazy, but the thing that he said that stuck out to what Hugh Freeze said to him was that when a coach comes to a new school, the first 2 classes are absolutely critical in his immediate success and future success, long-term success. And he said getting this 2024 and 2025 classes off to good starts are going to be paramount. Hugh Freeze actually alluded to this Monday. What's the day? He actually alluded to this Tuesday in Mobile down at the Senior Bowl when doing interviews. Those first 2 classes are imperative for success. And Jaden Lewis, you talked about Aniston having more players, but Anquan Fegans, a 2025 4-star, the number 1 safety in the country, according to some folks, and Jaden Lewis grew up together in the Oxford-Aniston area. He's now at Thompson, of course, but Jaden Lewis says, I'm going after him. I want him. It meant a lot to hear Hugh Freeze say, we've got to have these first 2 classes, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it to make both of them great. Not only the 2024 class, but I'm working 2025 as well.
And they're playing, Jeff, they're playing a little catch-up in 2024.
Sure.
2025
a little behind.
Should be, hey, you've had a whole year to build relationships with guys, but they just arrived 2 months ago. And so they being Hugh Freeze and company, November 28th, I think was the day he was announced as head coach. So he just got to Auburn, and you're already landing a guy like this, who a lot of your good secondary players, Keontae Scott, Jalen Simpson, these guys don't have too many years left in them. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so you constantly have to, what's happened over the last few years, Jeffrey, is Auburn's had to, and that's why Auburn's so big in the portal right now, had to really kind of scramble to fill some spots, right? And Hugh Freeze and company are trying to eliminate that. They want to put Auburn in, and obviously it's every coach's goal, which just sometimes doesn't happen. You want to be in a position where you're not having to scramble to fill spots. You want to have a good combination of veterans, of young developmental guys, and then guys coming in. So by the time he gets there next year in 2024, there's going to be a need. And he's probably looking at that. Hey, they're going to lose need. Who's still back? Pritchett, Simpson, Keontae Scott. I'm trying to think of all the corners that are still on the team. DJ James. Auburn's got a real need. Now, they just signed a bunch of DBs, but that last class, the 23 class and the 2024 class, are huge DB years for Auburn. When you look at who they're going to be losing. That made any sense?
It did make sense, Keith. Again, and then Malik Autry, the 2025 defensive lineman from Opelika, he was there at Junior Day on Saturday, got re-offered by the staff in the same manner Jaden Lewis did. Both staffs offered Malik Autry. Malik Autry got to know Jeremy Garrett. He got to know Vontrell King-Williams. Both of those guys, he hit it off with them. He left there. I think, he too, like Jaden, basically committed on Saturday. This kid weighed in at 280. He's 6'5", 6'6" with cleats on, 280 pounds. He was listed at an edge when he showed up for junior day. I looked at him and said, no, that he's not an edge. And I was even told, no, he's not. Auburn thinks this kid can move inside, even as far as the nose. And even Malik said, hey, I can play nose. I can play defensive tackle. I can even kick it out to edge if you need me to. Play that 5 Kobe Wooden position if you need me to. But 6'5", 280. And, he loves Hugh Freeze. He loves being able to stay close to home. And you talked about Anniston having some players. Opelika's got players. They always do. So another big pickup, another 4-star in-state pickup. Auburn now has 3 commitments total, 2 in the 2024 class, both in-state 4 stars, and then the 2025 in-state 4-star Malik Autry.